Hey there, everybody. We're back for another episode. Hey, Kate.
Hello, hello.
Hello. So today, what we're going to talk about is a topic that has come up a lot, especially in people who have not yet started working with us, not yet gotten into copywriting. And that question is, do you need a copywriting degree? Do you need a copywriting certificate? How can you verify that you are, in fact, a valid copywriter? Kate, do you have any thoughts about that right off the bat?
Well, right off the bat, I think starting with college degrees, that they're great. And if you earned one, you should be very, very proud. But they don't really matter when it comes to copywriting. If you're going on staff or in a full-time job, maybe they'll look at it for a box check. But even then, they're going to look at your portfolio. So first things first, those degrees, they're great, but they don't come into play.
Well, and the thing is, when it comes to degrees, I am not aware of, and I would say I'm pretty up on degrees and that kind of thing, but I'm not aware of any universities where you can actually get a degree in copywriting. You can get a degree in marketing, you can get a degree in advertising, and that might mean you get a class maybe in copywriting, but you can get a degree in copywriting. So it's not even really a question of, if I want to become a copywriter, do I need to have a degree in copywriting? Good news, you can't even get one if you want one.
And you don't even need a degree related to, you don't need an English degree or a journal. You don't need anything even in the realm. You could have gone to school for biology. You could have not gone to school yet, or good news.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and
anyone can.
Yeah, anybody can get into it, and anybody can learn it. And one of the things that we teach our students is that, in fact, it's in a lot of ways, it's really advantageous to have a different kind of background, because you have learned things in that background and you have developed traits in that background that make you uniquely skilled as a copywriter. If you spent years, for example, as say a social worker or a caseworker or something like that, now you're transitioning into copywriting, you may have learned a particular form of empathy, and that makes you a better copywriter because you are that much better at being empathetic with what the target audience wants to hear and needs to hear, and maybe getting in touch with their emotional needs, and you put that into your copy. So not having a background in copywriting and not having a degree in copywriting doesn't count against you in any way. And I would argue that in a lot of ways it counts toward making you a better and more well-rounded copywriter.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know in the Comprehensive Copywriting Academy, they have so many different students from so many different backgrounds, former flight attendants that, can connect that to, I know how to interact with people from all over the world, all different cultures, and how that helps them tap into different audiences, teachers and lawyers, and just a range of folks. If you can name a career, we probably have someone in the academy that
exactly
has similar background
direction.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's fascinating. I love it.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's we have all kinds of students from all over the world, and the thing is that nobody's born knowing copywriting. So if you don't know anything about copywriting, then great, you're in the exact right place to get started. And so nobody expects you to have a great degree in copywriting, because nobody can get a degree in copywriting, which frankly is part of the reason that I started this business, so that people could get the training that they need in order to do it well. So the second part of the question is, do I need a certificate in copywriting? Do we provide a certificate at the end of our training?
No, we do not.
No. Short, quick answer to that.
Yeah.
No. And Kate, do you want to start talking about why that is?
Yeah, sure. Because they don't matter as much as people, it's a nice to have. And look, I completed it and I went through all this training and I checked all the boxes. There's still no way to know that just because you did the work or listened to some modules that you are now great at copywriting. What's going to prove that is your portfolio is showing that you know how to write great copy. So, a certificate doesn't show that. It doesn't show your work. It just says you put in some time and maybe completed a course, which is great, but it doesn't offer the proof that your potential clients need when they want to hire you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. A certificate shows that you paid for a course, basically.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that we have been so adamant about not providing certificates is not only does it not prove anything, but frankly, with some types of creative directors and marketing directors and industry professionals who know that a certificate doesn't prove anything, when when people come to them and say, yes, I'm a copywriter, I have a certificate, it counts against them because they know that a certificate doesn't matter. And if someone is coming and first and foremost saying, I have a certificate, before they're even showing their portfolio, it proves that they're less of a professional and they understand the industry a little bit less. Whereas when someone meets with a creative director, meets with a marketing director, or meets with a client and says, here, I'd love to help you with grow your business or whatever, with whatever projects, let me show you my portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
That is what matters. It's copywriting is really about the proof is in the pudding, people should really find, what's the word I'm looking for? Heartening.
Mm-hmm.
Because your background doesn't matter. Your age doesn't matter. Your gender doesn't matter. Your sexual orientation doesn't matter. Your race doesn't, all of the things don't matter. If you are a good copywriter and you demonstrate that you are a good copywriter in your portfolio, if you've taken the time to learn and you've trained and you have practiced your skills and you've honed your skills and you put together a good portfolio, people will want to work with you. They don't care about degrees. They really don't care about certificates. They don't care about that kind of thing. If you can show that you can do your job well and can benefit their business, then yeah, they'll want to work with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing, people often feel like they have to go to portfolio schools too. And so, why do you feel like people feel like they have to go to portfolio school, and why isn't that the route to go necessarily either?
That's a great question. I think there are a couple of different groups. Some people love having a very specific track. You show up to a class, you do this that day, and that's great. There will always be people who need a schedule, need to show up at a building and need to go through this class and then this class and in person and all that kind of thing. And that's fine. And
a little more structure.
A little more structure. And if they have an extra $40,000 to do it, since that's what portfolio schools generally cost, and an extra 2 years, then great. Honestly, they can be fantastic. And for the kinds of people who need that kind of structure and who have that kind of time and money, then portfolio schools can be great. But if you are the kind of person who can follow steps and who can do the work on your own and who doesn't have $40,000 or 2 years to spend on it, you can get the same work. You can get the same high quality of work on your own. I think that also too, people are used to, we're still very college focused society in a lot of ways. Especially for certain groups, there's the idea of if I want to learn anything, I go to college, which I think is one of the reasons why people ask so much about degrees. But that's I think as we are getting more focused on creating side hustles or creating our own businesses or being open to the idea of being freelance, I think people are understanding that you don't need that institution in order to create a career. And I think too, when people have a little bit more life experience as well, we can look back and I majored in PR, which I guess I kind of use nominally. Now you majored in writing, right?
Yeah. Creative writing, literature, and publishing. So
writing,
it was across the board.
But most people don't actually end up in the field that they got their degree in, or at least doing specifically the work that they got their degree in. And when you really think about that, the idea of of like the amount of money. And I'm not sorry that I went to college, because I certainly did get some benefit out, probably more just living away from home, frankly. That's an expensive lesson. But so I think people are used to the idea of an institution and paying an institution. But when you really reflect on the cost of that and I mean, people are facing incredible student loan debt. I think that there are other options, whether it's our course or whether it is, if maybe you don't want to be a copywriter, you want to do something else. There are other options where you can still get the instruction and still get the support and still learn everything you need to know in order to create a successful career. But you don't have to spend that 40 grand or spend 2 years going to a portfolio school.
Yeah. And you're able to create your own validation, really. I feel like that's why you want a certificate. That's why you want a degree. You want that validation, but you can create that by creating your portfolio. That's your validation to say, look, I can write great copy. Here's why you should work with me. And then you save 40 grand in the process.
Yes. Yeah, that's a great point. That we all, want validation, right? It would be so nice to have a piece of paper that says, yes, you are valuable as a professional. But unfortunately, those aren't really real, and they don't, I can write you a letter that says, yes, you are a worthy human being. But unless you believe it, it's not actually worth anything. Yes, you are a copywriter. You're a copywriter when you do the work and when you put together your portfolio, and when you start working with clients and doing work for them. That's what makes you a copywriter, not a certificate.
It's the real world work, which for anything too, you can take any sort of certification or quiz and you've gone through the steps and you've done it, but have you done it for a client? And I feel like that's where the proof lies, not in passing a quiz or studying for a test and acing it and then being like, oh crap, what did I actually learn? Did I actually learn any of it? So
yes. Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, the courses that we did take in college, like I took a course on ancient Maya civilization, which is Maya and not Mayan. That's probably the one thing that I remember. It's Maya and not Mayan. But yeah, like what could I tell you about it now? And we think of how expensive that is versus actually doing the work that every day builds a career.
Yeah, absolutely. And I should add, writing literature and publishing, I none of it's applicable to what I'm doing. I got into copy editing. It got me to where I am, and I'm grateful. But people might think, oh, you have a leg up because you studied this. And same as you, I had 18th century British poetry classes. Great.
That doesn't come up a lot with your clients?
Couldn't name you. It came up with Jeopardy last night, but that's about it. So yeah. So don't feel like, oh, but you have a degree that's kind of related. No, it's not what, it's not what helped me create my portfolio.
Bachelor's degrees are good for Jeopardy, not for actually building a career.
That's the takeaway.
That's great. Okay, so we'll wrap up here, but never fear, we have so many more topics to discuss. So we will meet you back next time. Kate, I will talk to you in just a little bit. Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you don't miss any tips, tools, or tactics for copywriters by clicking subscribe right now. And of course, you can always find us over at filthyrichriter.com. We'll see you next time.